A marvelous Monday morning to all of you biologists out there. Today, I thought we would look at some human blood. So, right now, what you're seeing in front of you is a blood smear magnified 100 times of human blood. So, all these little dots that you see in here, these are the red blood cells, all these little circles, and then all these little purple dots are the nuclei of some of your white blood cells. So right now we're on 100 times magnification, so that's 10 times through the ocular objective and 10 times through the microscopic lens objective. So now we're going to get a little bit closer. We're going to 40. All right. Let's see what 40 gets us. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did you see that? It's coming back, coming back. All right. 40 times objective. Now you can start seeing all these little light purple dots. These light purple little tiny dots, smaller than the red blood cells, those are your platelets. Platelets play an active role in helping you stop bleeding. So what happens when you get a cut is there are these juices that are released from your tissues that go into your blood, and it kind of sends out a chemical signal that allows these platelets to come together and aggregate. That just means they all stick together and they form what's called a fibrin clot. And that's what a scab is. It's just a ton of these little purple platelets. They're only purple from the stain, but it's a ton of these little purple platelets, or these little platelets that come together and form a clot or a scab that keep you from bleeding. Isn't that neat? Just these little guys. And there's some chemicals in there that help them cross connect. It's so neat. It's really complicated, and there are tons of diseases out there that actually have like errors in these clotting factors that keep these platelets from aggregating together. That would be something like hemophilia, right? So that's a certain clotting factor that keeps these platelets from clumping together like they're supposed to, and then the person keeps bleeding, and that's really bad. All right, let's take a look around and see if we can find some other cool white blood cells. Right now, we are looking at 3 neutrophils. These are called your segmented neutrophils. They're probably the most common white blood cell in your blood. These guys help fight pretty much anything. They just kind of wander around doing their job. They have little granules in there. We'll get a little bit closer here on the oil, but they have little granules in there that are very, very light, kind of pinkish in color. Let's see what we're looking at here. I got to turn up my light on the scope so I can see what I'm looking at here. So I'm sorry if it's a little icky for you guys. All right, so we're seeing something good. I want to get you guys like a really nice, clear field of view of what some of these cells can look like. So this is not a medical smear. Medical smears are done in a particular way where it really helps separate out the white blood cells and red blood cells so you can see them more clearly. Let me see. All right, so this nice little purple lump right here is what you call a lymphocyte. Lymphocytes are the guys that, they're your T cells and your B cells, and those are the guys that release antibodies and mark other cells for destruction by the monocytes and neutrophils. So these guys are really, really important. It's actually your T lymphocytes in HIV that are affected, and they can't mark the cells properly because the virus goes and infects them. So that's a lymphocyte. Let me get some oil on here, and let's get a little bit closer, right? I have a really cool blood side I want to show you guys with some parasites in it. Yes, you can get parasites in your blood. That's what malaria is. All right, let's get this oil on here. This immersion oil, again, it helps bend the light a little bit better so you get better clarity in what you're looking at. Got a very specific refraction index. You saw some bubbles there. Sorry, guys. Alright, getting back into it. That was my bad. Okay, cool. There you go. So now you can start seeing our red blood cells much more clearly. Ah, very, very nice. All right, so these are all your red blood cells. Isn't that neat? So they're supposed to have that little white area in there. That is a good size for them. You can see these, gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but this little clearing in the middle is normal. That's what's supposed to be in there. Red blood cells, when you put them on their side, they're what's called a biconcave disc. So it's basically, it looks like a hamburger bun with, if you took like, it almost looks like a donut without the hole all the way through. That's the best analogy I can think of, is a donut without the holes all the way through. And here again, you can see the platelets right here. Let me see if I can get us some nice white blood cells. I did not just spill my immersion oil. We won't talk about it. All right, here we go. Here is a lymphocyte. Look at that bad boy. All right, you can see it has very little cytoplasm, and that's kind of one of the hallmarks of lymphocytes, especially when you're looking at them under the microscope, is very, very little cytoplasm. All right, and right next to it, here we go, getting in there. Ooh, and get you guys a nice neutrophil. So this again is one of your segmented neutrophils. Right here, you can see, let me get a little bit closer, all these little purpley light dots. Those are granules. Those granules have things like antihistamines and anti-infection type, oh my gosh, infection fighting particles that will be released when they come in contact with pathogenic type things, such as bacteria. Let's see if we get another good one. There's another segmented neutrophil. So let's talk about size. Another neutrophil. I'd really like to find some of the rarer cells that you guys would see. That would be your, oh, here's a good basophil, looks like. No, that's just some more lymphocytes. Actually, those look like giant platelets. That right there. All right, so the stain that you're seeing here is called a Wright stain. There's a good lymphocyte. You can see the cytoplasm right there, very, very faint on the outer edges. You can see the nuclei. It's got kind of like kind of globular, but still fine, grainy. That's one of the ways we can tell a lymphocyte when we're looking at them. Some of your lymphocytes will have, let's see if I can find some good ones. See, they're not all cells look exactly the same. Here's another lymphocyte, but you can see it has way more cytoplasm than some of the others. I mean, some of the others looked basically like a giant nuclei. You could barely see the cytoplasm in it. So here's some of that nice, they call it a robin's egg blue. And the stain that we're looking at is called a Wright Giemsa stain. So that makes your red blood cells turn a really nice kind of, if you were looking at it in the microscope, pinkish color. And it's like a salmony pink color. The neutrophils or the lymphocytes turn this nice kind of robin's egg blue, they call it, around the outside. And then all the nuclei have this nice globular purpley color. Let's see what else we got in here. There's got to be some good ones. Here's another segmented neutrophil. You can tell that these segmented neutrophils, they don't all look alike. They're all going to be different. This is the nuclear chromatin in there, and it just starts kind of condensing on itself and getting thicker and thicker as the cell matures. You actually have a ton of these in your muscle tissues and stuff. And they're actually roaming all over your body. They're not just in your blood. It's just easier to see them in your blood, obviously, because that's something we can take out of you without hurting you, right? I mean, you can't really like take out a chunk of tissue, and I mean, that's called a biopsy, and that hurts. And that leaves you open for infection. So the less cutting of you that we have to do, the better. Here we go. Now, what is this? That's another lymphocyte. Look how different they look. Like, you have to be able to tell these apart. And that's why, it takes so much training. It takes tons of training to be able to identify these types of cells. It may seem really easy, but sometimes you get some really weird looking cells. So look at these. Both lymphocytes, right? Look how different. Look at the size difference. Look at the difference in their cytoplasm, and that's just your lymphocytes. So what could that mean? Could it mean that one's a T cell and one's a B cell? Possibly. I would like to find a monocyte. Because you guys haven't seen that yet, and you haven't seen a basophil or a eosinophil. Those are the other types of blood cells. So you got 5 main types of white blood cells in your blood. You got your lymphocytes. Those are your T cells and B cells. You got your neutrophils, or your granulocytic series, which are your neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. And then you have your monocytes. Your monocytes are the guys that go out and they're the phagocytic ones. So they're the ones that are eating bacteria and destroying old cells, and you'll even sometimes see them with cells inside them. I've seen like monocytes like engulfing red blood cells on smears. It's really, really neat. So you'll see all sorts of cool stuff like that. Sometimes you'll see bacteria inside of the monocytes. You'll see them where they've started to ingest them. Here you go. What is that? Here's a neutrophil. This kind of just looks like an immature neutrophil right here. I'd want to call it a monocyte, but I don't like the way that cytoplasm looks. It's a fun looking one. Here's something really good. Here's another lymphocyte. For you guys, again, you can see just how different they look from each other. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so this is what I've been looking for. So this is a monocyte. Look at how big that white blood cell is compared to the other ones we've been looking at. So it's got this really globular chromatin. This guy is the guy that's going to be eating your bacteria, and sometimes you'll see vacuoles in it, like big holes of just kind of white space, and that's probably where they've eaten something. And these guys, it's not like they keep going after they eat something. Once they get something in them, they're pretty much done, Dunsky, man. Like, so your body is continuously generating these white blood cells to replace the ones that are being destroyed and being used up and doing their job and serving their purpose. So it's pretty neat. And your body is always creating all these cells continuously. Here's another lymphocyte. So you see the lymphocytes are pretty similar in size to the red blood cell. So let's talk about size. Micrometers. So red blood cells, or these cells, are measured in micrometers. So a red blood cell is anywhere, normal size red blood cells, 6 to 8 micrometers. So that is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. So go to your rulers, look at your centimeters, and then look at the marks in between those. Those are your millimeters. And then divide that millimeter by 10, divide it by 10 again, and divide it by 10 again, right? So we're at 1/1,000,000th. That's how tiny these things are. And then a bacteria, think about a bacteria. A bacteria would fit inside this guy. So really, really tiny bacteria are. So bacteria are usually anywhere from, you can see 0.5 to, I've seen some pretty big ones at like 6, 7 micrometers, but they're just huge. Here's another neutrophil. Here's another monocyte. Ooh, hang on. Yeah, good monocyte. And you can see these white holes in it now. These are the vacuoles I was talking about. But you can see how different and how big it is and how the cytoplasm looks different from a lymphocyte. It's like ground glass is what they call it. And you can see it kind of looks like ground glass. It's really, I don't know, it's grainy. And you see these, how different like the chromatin is inside the nuclei. It's not as condensed, it's paler, it's not as tightly packed. So monocytes, probably the third next most common white blood cell. So it usually goes your neutrophils, these guys, then your lymphocytes in your blood, neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, and then eosinophils and basophils. Eosinophils and basophils are, again, part of your granulocytic series. They have granules inside them too, just like the neutrophils do, but they're much bigger and coarser. And if I can find one, I will totally show it to you. But you see all these little granules in here. Again, the antihistamines and the antibacterial, antiviral. They just got all sorts of good chemicals in them that can help kill things that are not supposed to be in your blood. So I really wanted to find you an eosinophil because they have these really, really big histamine granules in them. They're orange and pink and really pretty color. They kind of remind me of candy. And the basophils are really, again, large granules, purple, dark. This is a very granulocytic neutrophil. You can see these really dark granules in there. So this guy's probably doing something, taking care of some business, right? And you see him not big and thick. The granules getting more differentiated and becoming more pronounced inside the white blood cell. He's probably got some business going on. I'm really trying to find you a basophil and an eosinophil, and that might have to wait until I find one and I get it ready. I'll make another quick video of those. Those are really, really pretty. But you can see just like how different all these different cells look. But they're all the same thing, right? Ooh, here's a good lymphocyte, very different lymphocyte. So see this? This is a lymphocyte, right? Doesn't make much sense. Doesn't look a lot like any of the other lymphocytes, but this is a lymphocyte. Look at the cytoplasm right in here. Look at the chromatin inside the nucleus. It's all that dense, kind of compact. Doesn't look like any of the other lymphocytes that we've looked at. but that's what it is. So being able to differentiate these in a cell or in a slide is it's pretty difficult. And it takes a lot of practice and a lot of getting used to and a lot of, training. So, but it's so much fun because you see some of the coolest stuff looking at these cells. And I got some cool slides that I will share with you guys. But I just wanted to show you some human blood, show you some of the things that are floating around in your body. And, oh, fun fact, human blood is a tissue. Yeah, buddy, figure that one out. All right, well, that's it for today, and I look forward to seeing you later. Bye.